The secret to reading people? Become invisible to their ego. That is the beginning and the end of it. People are not difficult to read. They are difficult to approach because their egos stand like thick walls made of glass. You can see through them, but if you touch, you are cut. Everyone lives protected by this invisible shield, pretending to be confident, pretending to be kind, pretending to be spiritual. But all that pretension is only fear disguised as personality. When you try to read someone, what you usually encounter is their armor, not their essence. The ego is that armor, noisy, reactive, insecure. If you approach it directly, it resists you. It lies, it postures, it performs. You can never understand a person by confronting their ego, just as you cannot see the stars by staring into the sun. To see beyond the mask, you must disappear. The more you are, the less you can see. To read someone truly, to sense their energy, their pain, their truth, you must become invisible to their ego. When you are invisible, you do not trigger their defense. You are not a threat, not a competitor, not even an observer. You are just presence, silent, open, receptive, and in that silence, the other person begins to unfold without realizing it. They start revealing themselves not because you are reading them, but because your emptiness invites them to be naked. This is what I mean by becoming mysterious, intuitive, spiritual. Not mysterious as in strange or mystical, but mysterious as in ungraspable. People feel you but cannot define you. They sense your attention but cannot locate it. You are there, but not there. Have you ever noticed that when you are with someone truly at peace, you start feeling safe to drop your own masks? That is the power of invisibility. The moment you stop being someone, the other forgets to defend their someone too. Reading people is not about technique, it is about presence. It is not psychology, it is meditation. A meditative person does not analyze, he sees, he feels. He listens to the spaces between words, the energy behind gestures, the silence beneath the laughter. The ordinary mind is obsessed with labels. This person is good, that one is toxic, this one is fake. The spiritual mind does not label, it observes, it allows. It sees that people are not good or bad, they are asleep or awake. And most are asleep, dreaming that they are awake. So when you look at someone, do not try to understand them through your judgments. Just be there. Let them pass through your awareness like clouds drifting in the sky. When you don't interfere, they reveal everything. When you stop trying to read, reading happens naturally. But to reach that state, something radical is needed. You must vanish. You must become invisible to your own ego first. Because your ego is always ready to react, to interpret, to project. It wants to be the reader, the wise one, the observer. And the moment it interferes, you are no longer seeing, you are imagining. People often ask me, Osho, how can I develop intuition? And I tell them, intuition is your natural state. You lost it because you became too visible. You are too noisy inside. The ego shouts, the thoughts chatter, and the subtle whisper of existence is drowned. Silence is the birthplace of intuition. If you want to read people, start by becoming silent. Start by being comfortable in not knowing. When you do not rush to conclude, you start perceiving details that others miss. A trembling in the voice, a hesitation in the eyes, an energy that doesn't match the words. But more than that, you start feeling what the other person cannot say, the energy beneath the surface. When you are invisible, your perception expands. You begin to see people as if from within them, not from outside. You sense their fears not as information but as vibrations. You understand not through logic, but through being. You may wonder how to become invisible. The answer is paradoxical. You cannot do it. You can only stop doing everything that keeps you visible. Stop trying to impress. Stop trying to convince. Stop trying to be spiritual. The more you try to be someone, the more your ego shines, and the more the egos of others respond. Just be. Be nobody. And in that nobodiness, you start seeing everything. Look at a child. They can read people effortlessly. They feel who is kind, who is false, who is dangerous, without analysis. Why? Because they have no image of themselves yet. They are invisible to the social game. They live intuitively, spontaneously. You once had that gift. Everyone did. But the more you became a person, the more that gift was lost. The personality is useful in the market, but in relationships, in love, in understanding, it is poison. When I say become invisible to their ego, I am saying something very radical. Stop existing as an ego yourself. Meet the other not as a name, not as a story, not as a man or woman, but as consciousness meeting consciousness. That is where true reading happens. And when you can see another human being without interference, not through the fog of desire, not through the lens of judgment, then for the first time you also begin to see yourself. Because the other is a mirror. If your mirror is covered in the dust of your ego, you will never see clearly. But when you wipe it clean and when you become transparent, then everything around you becomes a revelation. Every person becomes a scripture. The art of reading people is the art of reading life itself. And the secret is not in learning more, but in unlearning everything you think you know. When you become invisible to their ego, something miraculous begins to happen. People start to feel seen for the first time in their lives, because most of the time, nobody truly sees them. Everyone is busy projecting, reacting, comparing. Everyone looks through the fog of their own ego, and what they see are distortions of their fears and desires. You have lived your entire life surrounded by eyes, but how many of those eyes have ever looked at you without judgment, without motive, without agenda? That is why love feels so rare, because it can only exist when one becomes invisible. To love is to read without interpretation, to see someone as they are without trying to fix them, without trying to control or save them. That is real seeing. But your ego always interferes. It wants to categorize. It wants to say this person is mine or that person is wrong. The ego doesn't understand love. It understands possession and fear. And yet, paradoxically, the only way to truly understand people is through love. Love is not an emotion. It is perception without distortion. It is clarity, it is transparency. When you are invisible, love becomes your natural state. You don't have to try to love. It just happens, like breathing. You walk into a room and people feel something they cannot explain. You are not seducing them. You are reminding them of silence. You are reminding them of themselves. People will say, "You have such an aura." What they mean is, your absence is palpable. Your emptiness has presence. And this presence, this invisible presence, is what gives you the ability to truly read others. Not through logic, not through behavior analysis, but through resonance. You vibrate in tune with existence, and through that vibration you know. It is not knowledge, it is knowing. It is immediate, spontaneous, wordless. You feel a lie before it's spoken. You sense pain, even behind a smile. You see the child hiding in the adult's eyes, the fear hiding beneath arrogance, the longing for love hidden in aggression. This is the art of intuitive seeing. But remember, intuition is not magic. It is awareness, purified of ego. The more silent you are inside, the sharper your perception becomes. You can experiment with this. Next time you're in conversation with someone, don't focus on what to say next. Don't even try to understand them. Just listen, not only with your ears, but with your whole being. Feel their presence, their breathing, their silences. Feel what is not being said. If you can stay silent inside, you will start to notice subtle shifts, how their tone changes when they hide something, how their body slightly closes when fear arises, how their energy drops when truth is avoided. But you will not be judging, you will be witnessing. Judgment clouds perception, witnessing clears it. This is why the mystics, the intuitives, the truly spiritual ones, they are always misunderstood by society, because their seeing goes beyond appearances. They see what others do not want to see, what others are not ready to see. They are mysterious not because they hide something, but because they no longer participate in the noise of the world. They live in a different frequency, a silent one. Their mystery is not deliberate. It is simply the result of being unattached. Society is afraid of such people. The ego feels threatened by transparency because ego survives through illusion. When you are around someone who sees clearly, you cannot keep your masks for long. Something within you starts trembling because their presence calls out your truth. That is why people either fall deeply in love with such beings or they fear and hate them. Both reactions come from the same place. The ego feels naked. So if you want to read people, prepare to become misunderstood. You will see too much. You will sense too deeply. You will realize that most of human interaction is a dance of shadows pretending to be light. And you will have to learn compassion, because once you see through people's defenses, it is easy to become judgmental. You will see their lies, their manipulations, their contradictions. But remember, they are not doing it consciously, they are asleep. A sleeping person does not know they are dreaming. They believe the dream is real. So, do not condemn them. Understand them. Love them. But never get lost in their dream. This is where most people fail. They begin to see, but they forget to stay detached. They start analyzing and moralizing. They say, this person is toxic, that one is fake. But the moment you label, you are no longer invisible. You are back inside the game of the ego, superior, righteous, visible. True invisibility means you are nobody to compare, nobody to judge. You are pure perception. When I look at someone, I don't see a sinner or a saint. I just see energy, moving, transforming, sometimes lost, sometimes awakening. Everyone is on the same journey, just at different stages of remembering. You can learn to see this way too. It requires nothing but silence and courage. Silence to perceive, and courage to not look away. Because when you see people as they are, you will also start to see yourself as you are. And that is not always comfortable. The mirror of awareness reflects everything, not only beauty, but also darkness. But that is the path of the mystic. To read others is to read existence, and existence is not always pleasant. It contains both light and shadow. The intuitive person does not choose, they embrace both. So become invisible, and the world will reveal itself to you. You will no longer need to interpret or predict. You will simply know. To become invisible is not to disappear physically, it is to dissolve psychologically. The world teaches you the opposite. To be someone, to stand out, to create an image, to make an impression. And the moment you do, you lose the ability to truly see and be seen. When you live through the ego, your perception is constantly distorted. You are always seeing what serves your identity. You see what confirms your beliefs, what protects your sense of self. You do not see reality. You see reflections of your own conditioning. The invisible one is free of this distortion. He doesn't project his mind onto the world. He allows the world to imprint itself upon his empty consciousness. He becomes like a mirror, utterly silent, utterly still. The mirror does not choose what to reflect. It reflects everything as it is. If you want to know people, stop wanting to know. Just be present. Your very desire to understand is rooted in control. You want to know so that you can predict, manipulate, feel safe. But the moment you want control, love disappears, perception narrows, and the ego reclaims its throne. The art of reading people begins with surrender. It begins with the death of the analyzer inside you. Have you noticed how children perceive so deeply? They can tell when someone is sad even if that person smiles. They can sense danger even before words are spoken. Their hearts are still uncorrupted. They are transparent. But then, society begins its education, which is really the art of corruption. We teach children to pretend, to lie politely, to suppress their intuition. And by the time they become adults, they are experts in masks. That is why, as an adult, you must unlearn everything. You must return to that childlike state, not childish, but innocent. Innocence is not ignorance. It is clarity without contamination. To become invisible is to become innocent again. When you meet people, drop all knowledge. Drop all ideas of good and bad, right and wrong. Just meet them in the present moment without memory. Memory belongs to the mind. Presence belongs to consciousness. The mind is old, the present is new. If you approach a person through memory, you will only meet their past reflection. You will miss who they are now. Invisibility means I am not carrying my past into this encounter, and I am not trying to drag your past either. We are simply here, naked, unguarded, unknowing, and that's where real communication begins. The ego cannot communicate. It can only manipulate or defend. Only the egoless can connect. Only when you have no agenda can you truly understand. People call this empathy, but even empathy can become another strategy if the ego takes over. True empathy happens only when there is no I who is empathizing. When you dissolve, you become a space in which the other's pain can breathe. Then something miraculous happens, healing. You do not heal people, you simply create space where their masks drop, and their wounds can finally be seen and released. That is why mystics heal without effort. Their presence alone is medicine, because when someone stands before pure awareness, their own inner being starts to resonate with it. The false begins to fall away, and the real begins to emerge. But to reach that purity, you must face your own shadow. You must become intimate with your own darkness. Otherwise, you will project it onto others. The mind that denies its darkness always sees it outside, in others, in society, in the world. You accuse others of what you secretly are afraid to see within yourself. That is the mechanism of the unconscious. So, if you want to read people, begin by reading yourself. Watch your reactions, your judgments, your projections. Every time you judge someone, look within and you will find the same seed in you. When you see it clearly inside, it disappears outside. The more you know yourself, the more transparent the world becomes. It's like cleaning a window. The dirt was never outside, it was always on the glass. People think enlightenment is a kind of supernatural power, seeing auras, reading minds, predicting futures. That is nonsense. Enlightenment simply means the glass is clean. You see reality as it is, unfiltered, uncolored. And that is the ultimate reading, not of people but of existence itself. When you are invisible, you stop living in opposition to life. You flow, you adapt, you respond, but you never react. Reaction is mechanical. It belongs to the ego. Response is alive. It comes from awareness. Someone insults you, and you see their pain instead of taking it personally. Someone flatters you, and you see their desire to be accepted. You read both without judgment. You do not get lost in the play. That is the power of invisibility. You can move through the world untouched. You are among people, yet not entangled in them. You are in society, but society is not in you. To live this way requires tremendous courage because the ego wants attention. It feeds on recognition. It wants to be seen, appreciated, validated. And invisibility feels like death to it. But that death is your rebirth. The day you stop seeking attention is the day your eyes truly open. You begin to see people not as objects of use, not as reflections of your worth, but as sacred mysteries in motion. And slowly, you start realizing everyone is you in disguise. Every face is another mirror reflecting the same consciousness. When you know this, judgment becomes impossible. Only compassion remains. To become invisible is to dissolve into that compassion, not sentimental, not emotional, but existential. A compassion that comes from understanding, not from pity. You understand that people act unconsciously because you too have acted unconsciously. You forgive because you see there is nothing to forgive. Everyone is doing the best they can from the level of awareness they have. And when you live with this understanding, you read people not to judge or control them, but to love them more deeply, to help them awaken if they are ready, and to remain silent if they are not. Invisibility is not withdrawal. It is participation without identification. You are in the world, but you are not of it. You move through it like the wind, touching everything, holding nothing. That is true mastery. When you are invisible, people will not understand you. They will feel you, they will sense your presence, but they will not be able to define you, and that will disturb them, because the ego loves definitions. It wants to know where to place you, how to categorize you, friend or enemy, wise or foolish, believer or skeptic, but you will no longer fit into their boxes. You will not play their games. You will not join their arguments, because you will see that all arguments are just noise. Two egos trying to prove who is right, while truth silently waits outside, untouched. And when people realize they cannot provoke you, cannot manipulate you, cannot predict you, they call you mysterious. But you are not mysterious. You are simply real. A person who lives in truth always appears mysterious to those who live in lies. So yes, you will feel like a stranger among your own kind, because you will begin to see what others cannot, and you will speak a language that most have forgotten, the language of silence, the language of being. Do not be afraid of this aloneness. It is not loneliness. It is freedom. Loneliness is the desire for the other. Aloneness is the joy of being whole. When you are invisible, you no longer need validation from others. You no longer depend on their opinions to know your worth. You simply exist, and that existence itself is bliss. The whole world becomes transparent. You begin to see the play, the masks, the roles, the performances. You watch as people chase illusions of power, success, and love, all the while missing the only reality that ever mattered, their own being. And you will feel compassion, deep compassion, because you have been there too. You know the pain of pretending, the exhaustion of trying to be someone. That's why when I say, become invisible, I'm inviting you into a life of profound authenticity. Only the invisible can be authentic, because they have nothing to defend, nothing to hide. The visible person is constantly performing. Even when they are alone, they rehearse, their mind filled with imaginary audiences. But the invisible one has dropped the stage entirely. There is no audience, no role, no script, just life as it is. When you drop the performance, you begin to feel alive in a way you never did before. Every breath becomes new. Every encounter becomes sacred. You start to notice beauty in ordinary things, the sound of the wind, the rhythm of footsteps, the laughter of a stranger. Why? Because your mind is no longer cluttered with self-consciousness. You are free from the constant mirror of me. And in that freedom, something extraordinary unfolds. Intuition. Intuition is not thinking. It is seeing without thought. It is the intelligence of existence flowing through you, unblocked. You do not decide what to perceive. Perception simply happens. Invisibility sharpens intuition because there is no you standing in the way. When the observer disappears, what remains is pure seeing. You can test this in simple ways. Sit quietly with someone. Stop talking. Stop thinking. Just be there, empty, open, receptive. You will start to sense their inner weather. You will know when they are tense even before they speak. You will feel their sadness even when they smile. It is not mystical. It is sensitivity. But sensitivity has been lost because people have armored themselves against pain. They numb themselves to avoid suffering, and in doing so, they also numb joy, love, intuition. To read people, you must be willing to feel, not selectively, but totally. To feel pain, to feel beauty, to feel the raw pulse of existence without filters. Yes, it will hurt sometimes. The more aware you become, the more suffering you will perceive in the world. But that suffering will not destroy you. It will make you compassionate. It will deepen your heart. Because only those who can feel deeply can love deeply. Love and perception are two sides of the same coin. When you love someone, you see them. When you see someone, you love them. The more you see, the less you can condemn. To become invisible is to become love itself. Not personal love, not selective, but the love that simply radiates, like the sun shining without preference. But be careful. The ego will try to imitate invisibility. It will create a new identity. I am spiritual, I am intuitive, I am mysterious. That is not invisibility. That is another mask. True invisibility has no pride in it. It does not announce itself. It does not care to be seen as enlightened. It simply is. The invisible person can live anywhere, in a market, in a monastery, in a city full of noise, and remain untouched, because their silence is inner, not circumstantial. You can test your invisibility by observing your reactions. When someone praises you, do you feel inflated? When someone insults you, do you feel wounded? Both reactions reveal visibility. The invisible one remains unshaken. Not because they are indifferent, but because they have no center to be hit. Praise passes through them. Insult passes through them. They are like space. Everything moves through. Nothing sticks. And this is the highest form of intelligence, to live in the world fully yet remain unattached. The invisible one laughs, loves, works and plays, but always with the awareness that all of it is a dream unfolding in consciousness. That awareness is freedom. And when you are free, you can finally read life without distortion. You can see the secret currents beneath the surface, how people move, how they hide, how they seek. You understand not through words, but through vibration. The invisible one reads not just people but existence itself, the wind, the silence, the heartbeat of the earth. They see that everything is connected, that every soul is another expression of the same source. To reach that seeing is to come home. To read people, to truly understand them, you must disappear. That is the ultimate paradox. The less you are, the more you can see. The quieter you become, the more truth reveals itself. The ego is noisy. It wants to decode, dissect, dominate. But life reveals itself only to the humble, those who approach it in silence without demand. When you are invisible, you stop standing between yourself and reality. The glass is gone. You no longer look through the smudges of identity, belief, and fear. You look directly, and that directness is love. The mystics have called it many names: awareness, presence, consciousness, being. But all these words point to the same state, where you are not interpreting life, you are living it. Where you are not trying to read people, you are one with them. It is a beautiful irony: the more separate you feel, the more blind you are. The moment you dissolve, the whole universe becomes transparent. You don't need to understand others anymore because there is no other. This is the highest reading, the reading of unity. The spiritual journey is not about adding anything to yourself. It is about peeling away everything that is not you, the fears, the ambitions, the opinions, the borrowed truths. When all that is gone, what remains is simple awareness, and from that awareness, understanding flows effortlessly. So, if you wish to know the secret to reading people, don't look outward. Look inward. Become invisible within yourself first. Sit in silence. Watch your mind. Watch how it judges, how it interprets, how it creates stories about everyone you meet. Do not try to stop it, just see it. The very act of seeing begins to dissolve it. And as you dissolve, something astonishing happens. You start feeling the pulse of life all around you. You start sensing the beauty hidden even in pain, the love hidden even in anger, the innocence hidden even in deception. Because once you are invisible, you stop resisting what is. You stop fighting with life, you merge with it. Invisibility is not a technique, it is a transformation. It happens when you become so still inside that the walls between you and existence collapse. You are no longer the observer, you are the observed. No longer the reader, you are the book. And suddenly, everything makes sense without explanation. You begin to read life as a sacred poem written by existence itself. Every encounter, every silence, every heartbreak, all of it becomes part of the same divine rhythm. This is why I say, stop trying to read people with your mind. Start feeling them with your being. The mind sees fragments, being sees the whole. People come to me and ask, "Osho, how can I protect myself from negative energy?" And I tell them, you don't need protection. You need invisibility. The ego is what gets hurt, not consciousness. The ego collects wounds. Awareness absorbs nothing. When you are invisible, you are invulnerable. Not because you are hard, but because you are soft, fluid like water. You cannot break water. You cannot grasp it. You can only flow with it. The invisible person moves through life like a whisper, present but weightless. They leave no trace, no shadow, yet their presence transforms everything. And this is the true power of invisibility: transformation without control, influence without force, love without possession. The more invisible you become, the more people will open around you because they feel safe. In your presence, their egos